Good afternoon, Sir Michael Pagustan. I am Angelo Miguel ABALOS. I am about to report all about fundamentals and classifications of ice. De-icing heated orange fluid. As the same name suggests, de-icing is the first step in the process of removing snow, slush, or ice from the fuselage, wings, and control surfaces. The fluid used is propylene glycol heated around 140 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit and sprayed under the pressure to blast off contaminants. This fluid, called type I, is mixed with water in a combination dependent on the conditions. The ratio is automated with the icing trucks equipment with sensors to measure the outside conditions and adjust the mixtures accordingly. Type I fluid is quite slippery. The de-icing trucks are often covered within the thin film of type I. The team usually spray at the angle of 45 degrees or less to avoid directly spraying down on the surface. They spray the fuselage top center line, avoiding windows. They'll then spray the wings and horizontal stabilizers from the leading edge to the trailing edge and wingtip to the wing root. The wings are cambered, so spraying this way allows the fluid to drain towards the middle of the wing, which saves fluid. They can also alter the shape of the spray, much like holding your thumb over a green garden hose to increase the pressure. In cooler weather and heavier snow or icing and conditions, anti-icing is also deployed after the icing. Anti-icing green fluid thicker, not heated. The basic functions of anti-icing fluid is to prevent frozen or freezing precipitation or expected frost adhering to the aeroplane's lid or the ice surfaces according to ICAO. The fluid, called type, is more than viscous type. This allows it to adhere to the aircraft surfaces for a longer period of time, unlike the type I. This is not diluted with water. I think of it like a baby diaper sent the Gene Henrik, head of American Airlines de-icing operations ORD. The anti-icing chemicals absorb water and prevent the water from sticking to the wing. During the procedure, the pilots will shut off the external airflow to prevent the aircraft and its passengers from sucking in the chemicals. Propylene glycol, which is type used, is non-toxic. Ethyl glycol, which is less commonly used, is toxic. In either case, they smell like maple syrup. A common misconception, Herrick said, is that anti-icing fluid will help the aircraft avoid icing at cruise altitude. In the fact, the majority of it will have slowed off during the takeoff roll, with all of it gone by all the time is 700 to 1,000 feet above the ground. At the gate, after the pushback, the apron at the icing pad, the icing and anti-icing operations take place at the gate after the pushback, or specially constructed. The icing pad's gate operations are commonly but not always efficient. Airlines and airports operators want to avoid having planes clogging up the gates. Nevertheless, most aircraft can be completely de-iced at the gate. However, if there is ice near the forward aircraft door or the nose, the icing at the gate for pushback prior to departure. Many airports, such as Toronto's Pearson Airport and others in Canada, have de-icing pads. After pushing back, the pilots will taxi over to a special constructed pad where maple planes can be de-iced at once. At the Pearson Airport, the glycol solutions are captured in tanks below the de-icing pad and recycled by a chemical companies for use. Gain in the US ORD is building its own pad as a joint venture between the airport. American Airlines and United Airlines, the pad will be open. How much time do pilots have after anti-icing? The key concept is called holdover time. The time from spray application of anti-icing fluid will take off. Guidelines published annually by the civil aviation authorities such as the FAA in the US include the charts for each type of brand approach de-icing and anti-icing solutions. For the work comes from the SAE and the industrial body. Americans Gene Harrick is on the SAE advisory board related to de-icing. For de-icing fluid, the holdover generally cannot exceed 22 minutes in its dependent on temperature and weather. De-icing fluid is really only meant to remove contaminants at the outset. Anti-icing, on the other hand, allows for longer period between applications and takeoff. From as little as 9 minutes in very cold and snowy weather to as much as 160 minutes. Holdover times increased over the past 5 years. One determinant: holdover times seems quite old school. Visibly on a snowy day, the control tower determine the visibility through a visual check from the tower to markers on the field. Snow reduces visibility, but the distance they can see from the control tower translate into estimate of the amount of snow that's falling. This estimate allows crews to understand how much snow will build up on the wing over time and therefore an acceptable holdover time. A more modern approach is called liquid water equivalent. There are small heated pads distributed across the airport. Melt falling snow measures the exact amount of precipitations. This allows anti-icing crews and pilots to more accurately determine for how long type for of products will be effective. Holdover is calculated by Herrick, and this is crew by means of the app, which considers the type of an aircraft largely of a composite materials like Boeing 787 and Airbus A350, or aluminum like most others. Temperature for aforementioned classification and visibly composite aircraft have a lower holdover times. The pilot in command makes the call. The pilot in command, the captain of the aircraft, has the final say as to whether depart after the icing and or anti-icing. He or she will communicate directly with the ground staff via radio and confirm what was deployed on the aircraft and what the holdover time will be. American pilots place a lot of trust in the other employee groups to their jobs with professionalism. Our de-icing group is no different. The crews are really well trained, dedicated, and they have some of the most advanced equipment available. If the holdover time exceeded, the plane has not yet departed. The captain has a choice to return for more de-icing and anti-icing or visual inspection of the wings. There There, the first officer will leave the flight deck and walk down the cabin to the middle of the aircraft. If you decided to conduct a cabin check, it's all about the percentage. While de-icing anti-icing when seem like a delay to the departure and extra time sitting on a cramped airplane, it's an essential safety feature. Next time you see it happen, enjoy the car wash and have to the operators outside in the cold. That's it. Thank you for listening.